We've all heard the term PhD, but have you ever stopped to think about what that P for philosophy is actually doing there? Well, it turns out it has everything to do with, well, everything. Today, we're going to pull back the curtain on research philosophy and show you the hidden beliefs that shape every single thing we think we know.
So, let's start with that big question. Why is the highest academic degree in pretty much any field you can think of, from physics to literature, called a Doctor of Philosophy? I mean, it sounds a little strange for a biologist or a computer scientist, right? But trust me, it has nothing to do with studying Plato. It's about the very foundation of how we know anything at all.
See, historically, that title was reserved for people with some serious wisdom. The philosophy part isn't about a specific subject. It's about a deep love for knowledge. It means you've achieved a mastery of how knowledge in your field is created, questioned, and built upon. You don't just know your stuff, you understand the very rules of the game. And that fundamental understanding, that's what we call a research philosophy. The absolute best way to think about it is like a pair of glasses, an invisible lens that you wear which shapes and colors everything you look at, every conclusion you come to.
This lens, your research philosophy, is basically the set of your deepest beliefs about what's real and how you can know it. It's the starting point for every question you ask and every answer you're willing to accept. It's running in the background all the time, whether you realize it or not.
At the heart of all this is a really fundamental question. Is reality objective or is it subjective? In other words, is there one single, hard, factual truth out there that we can all measure, like the boiling point of water? Or is reality something that's shaped by our personal feelings, our culture, our experiences? Your answer to that one question is going to determine which pair of glasses you put on.
So think of any research project like a building. Before you can put up the walls, you have to lay a solid foundation. And in research, that foundation rests on four crucial pillars, four big questions that every single researcher has to answer before they can even get started.
And these pillars build on each other in a really logical way. You start by asking, what is reality? That's your ontology. Then, logically, you ask, okay, so how can I know about that reality? That's your epistemology. From there, you pick a theory to help you interpret what you find, and finally, you choose a methodology. That's your practical plan for how you're actually going to get the data.
So let's start with pillar number 1, ontology. This is the big one. It's your core belief about the nature of reality itself. Do you believe the world is an external, measurable object that exists whether we're here or not? Or is reality something that we all create together through our shared experiences and culture? Now, there's no single right answer here, but every researcher, consciously or not, picks a side.
So, once you've decided what you think reality is, the next question is epistemology. This is all about the how of knowing. How do we get knowledge about the world? How can we be sure that what we think we know is actually true and valid? It's the study of knowledge itself.
So how do we know things? Well, broadly speaking, knowledge tends to come to us in four main ways. And believe me, they are often fighting with each other.
First, you've got intuition, that gut feeling that something is true. Then there's authority. We believe it because an expert or a book told us so. Then we have rationalism, using pure logic and reason to figure things out. And finally, empiricism, which is the big one in science. It argues that all real knowledge has to come from things we can actually observe and measure with our senses. Modern research definitely leans hard on those last two.
Okay, so your answers to those first two big questions about reality and knowledge are going to directly lead you to the last two pillars. Your theory is the specific conceptual map you'll use to make sense of all the information you gather. And your methodology? That's the practical nuts and bolts game plan for how you're going to collect that information in the first place. Are you going to use surveys, interviews, lab experiments? That's your methodology.
So here's where it gets really cool. When you combine your answers to those four pillar questions, you don't just get a random pile of beliefs. You end up on one of four main research paths. Think of them as four different journeys you can take to find the truth.
Check this out. If you're a positivist, you believe reality is objective and measurable. So naturally, you're going to use quantitative tools like surveys and experiments to measure it. But if you're an interpretivist, you believe reality is subjective and socially constructed. So what do? You use qualitative methods like interviews to try and understand people's unique experiences. Then you have critical theorists who see reality as shaped by power and inequality, and postmodernists who argue there isn't one reality at all but many. Each belief system gives you a totally different toolkit.
So, and this is the most important takeaway, these philosophies are not just abstract academic ideas. They are intensely practical. They directly determine what a researcher does, what tools they use, and what kind of answers they can even find.
Let me make this super clear. If you're a positivist trying to find objective facts about why people buy a certain brand, you're going to run a huge survey with thousands of people. But if you're an interpretivist who wants to deeply understand the emotional experience of being a caregiver, you're going to conduct hours of in-depth personal interviews. Your philosophy literally dictates your method, and understanding this is like having a secret decoder ring for the world. It lets you see why one study is all about numbers, while another is all about stories, and it lets you judge for yourself what kind of truth each one is really capable of telling you.
But a researcher's work doesn't just end with finding some data and writing a conclusion. Nope, because knowledge creates impact in the real world, and that impact has consequences. And this is where we have to step beyond just the facts and into the moral dimension of it all.
Yeah, the world is messy. It's not black and white. Research can uncover really uncomfortable truths, or it can lead to new technologies that have some seriously complicated ethical questions attached. And that's where moral judgment has to come into play.
Now, making a moral judgment isn't just about stating your personal opinion. It's the actual process of evaluating something, an action, a decision, a new technology, and asking, is this right or is this wrong? Based on some kind of shared set of principles, like fairness, or justice, or not causing harm.
We do this constantly when we look at the world of research. Was it ethical for scientists to run that famous prison experiment? Was it wrong for that company to hide the negative side effects of their product? We're always weighing the knowledge we gain against our moral framework.
And what's so fascinating is that these judgments aren't just cold, hard logic. They're a complex mix of our rational brain, our gut emotional responses, and the social and cultural norms we were raised with. It's why two incredibly smart people can look at the exact same set of facts and come to completely different moral conclusions.
Which brings us to one final, really big question to leave you with. We've seen that every researcher, every person really, approaches the world through their own unique lens. So if we're all wearing different colored glasses, what does that mean for our shared quest to find a single unified truth with a capital T? What does that mean for all of us?